Thank you for tuning in to this Team 1 KB Gold business presentation. What will happen over the next 40 minutes is that I will be presenting a opportunity coming fresh out of Europe, right now moving across different countries over here and soon to be launched globally. The company that I'm talking about is called KB Edelmetall AG, and that actually stands for KB Precious Metal. And it's not a new company. It was founded in 1994, so it's actually a 16-year-old company. But the first 14 years it worked just as a normal traditional financial company, selling pension plans, investment things, insurance, money products, different things. 2 years ago they started taking an interest in the gold and silver industry, because many of the clients were asking for a gold product, and also because the gold market really started to be of very, very great interest. When the founders and the management saw the potential in the gold market, they very fast changed lanes and started focusing on gold. So what they went and did is they actually got their own gold mine in Turkey, and also went and bought their own gold refinery, also in Turkey, in Istanbul, where there's around 40-50 people employed in the production line. And they also have now their own distribution channel. So what we actually have here is a company that controls everything in one hand, which is quite unique because most refineries around the world are government controlled and certainly not privately held. So we have a unique opportunity here to present to the world, to the customers, and also of course to the partners or the referees that want to take a part of this exciting business opportunity. The KB Group, as it looks today, consists of course Turkish companies that own the gold mine in Turkey, the mining rights, also the refinery in Istanbul. And there's also a Swiss company in Switzerland that oversees the storage and the shipment of the gold. KB does not store the gold themselves. They actually have it stored in St. Gotthard Massif. It's in a very big depot facility that is government controlled. It goes a few kilometers or a mile into the mountains, where there's a lot of depot rooms in there. And those depot rooms are right now being used by governments, by banks, by investors to store valuables. Actually, also the Swiss government has their own gold reserves stored in this secure facility, and this is where the gold from the customers from KB right now is stored here in Europe. But of course, as the company expands around the world, satellite depots will of course be taken into use all over the world. But right now we're just starting here. It's very exciting and things are going very, very fast. Everything is run out of Germany. We have the headquarters in Munich, where everything is controlled from, but because of the very big growth that we are experiencing right now, the operational side will be moved to large offices in Stuttgart, where customer service, operations, marketing, everything will take place from. So let's say the operational side of the company is in Germany, which is very interesting because Germany is a highly regulated country here in Europe, which of course is known for its very strict laws. So everything coming out from Germany is very strictly controlled and very by the book, and is considered to be, of course, a long-term business. Before I start talking too much about gold, I just want to give you a brief overview about the history of money, because the history of money has also to do with, of course, the value of gold today. The dollar has not always been around, and paper money has not always been around. The dollar was actually introduced in the year 1900, and since then it has lost almost 95% in value, and it keeps on losing its value. And actually the way it was introduced was, in the old days, everything was traded with gold. If you wanted to buy a product or service, everything was paid with gold. when they tried introducing paper money, they came up with the idea of making this dollar, and for every dollar they printed, they would put 1.5 gram of gold aside in the Federal Reserves in America, so that the people that got these dollar bills, if they didn't have trust in the dollar because they were used to these gold coins, they could just go to the bank, give the dollar back, and get 1.5 gram of gold per dollar. And actually on the dollar bill it said, "In gold we trust." So this is how the dollar was introduced in the year 1900, and very soon and very fast the general public started, using the the dollar and got used to it and started to trust it. The problem came in 1929 when Wall Street collapsed and sent US out in years of depression, bankruptcies, unemployment rates going crazy. And the only way that the government really saw how they could fix this problem was to produce more money. But the problem was they didn't have gold enough for producing all this money, so they changed the laws and they said, okay, now we don't have to back the dollar 100% with gold, we can just back it 30% with gold. So in that way they actually could produce 70% more money, and that's what they did. They started really printing a lot of money, and over time the country came into balance again. In '69 they changed the law so that the people could no longer bring their dollars to the bank and get their money back, their gold back, because now the governments or the people in power wanted to keep the gold for themselves. And in 1971, and President Nixon changed the laws completely and said, okay, now there is trust, there's faith, there's stability in the dollar, we don't need to back it with gold anymore. So since 1971, actually the dollar is no longer backed with anything. There's only the trust that we put in it. And we need that today. And also on the dollar bill today, it doesn't say "In gold we trust," it says "In God we trust." And the reason we need God right now is, of course, the world situation. Many years of overspending, real estate market going crazy, credit card industry, it's a big bubble that was bound to burst at some point. And that happened at September 2008 when the Lehman Brothers, the fourth largest bank in America, collapsed, and was the first of many domino pieces to fall all around the world. The world was shaking, and we've seen that everywhere. Companies going bankrupt, banks going bankrupt, unemployment rates going up, but also whole countries starting to shiver. We saw it with Iceland, where the financial structure broke down. Greece almost had the same fate here in Europe. But not only Greece and Iceland has problems. We see many countries like Italy, like Spain, like Portugal, Germany, UK, of course US as well, that are owing so much money away. This is actually a picture of the American debt clock that was taken in the year 2008, where you see the dollar sign on the left here. There is a space for the dollar sign, but already in October 2009 there was no more space for the dollar sign because America was owing so much money away. The same with Germany here. You see the German debt clock, it's just going crazy. The German debt rises or gets higher with around 41 million euros per day, and that's staggering numbers. So in essence, a country is actually like a company. If you owe a lot of money away and you cannot pay your interests, at some point nobody will lend you any more money or give you more credit, and at that point you would have to close down. And that's what happens to companies, and that can also happen to countries, and that's what we have seen with Iceland and now almost with Greece. And the problem is, if you are in a country where the financial structure breaks down and everything starts to be chaos, then you in extreme cases would risk that paper money will lose its value, as we have seen before in Germany just after the Second World War, in America during the Depression. That would mean that the money you have in your pocket, or your pension plan, or the money you have in your bank is absolutely worth nothing. And what will you then do? Because if paper money is worth nothing, what do you have, and what can you do? Of course, it's not the end of the world, but you will have very tight years. You will have a lot of pressure, and and you could actually be under a lot of stress, because as we say, governments come and go, currencies come and go. Actually, in human history, around 4,000 currencies has collapsed. 4,000 currencies. So it's not unlikely that 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 will collapse again. It's in our nature. It's in the history, and that's why a lot of financial experts, I mean really financial gurus that have studied economy for 40, 50, 60 years, people like Mark Farber from Switzerland, who was actually the guy who foresaw the financial crisis before it hit. You have Peter Schiff, Warren Buffett, Robert Kiyosaki even talks about this evil spiral that we're in the world today. And as Mark Farber said, it's like pouring water into a glass. If you keep on putting water into the glass, it will spill over, and if you keep putting it in, it will keep spilling over. And that's what we're seeing now. And he's stating that we haven't seen the end of anything yet. Everything has just begun. We will see more bankruptcies. We will see more banks going bankrupt. We will see whole countries go bankrupt. He of course he doesn't know when and where, but it will happen. We can be sure of that. And that's why he says the only way that we can really secure ourselves against a possible coming crisis is by, for example, investing in gold. And they recommend, a lot of these experts recommend, that you should put at least 5 till 20% of your assets into gold, in physical gold that you can get your hands on in times of crisis, that will make you flexible and make you able to provide for your friends and family. But not big gold bars like you see here on a kilo or 2 kilos or even 100-gram bars or even ounces, because an ounce, that's around 31 grams. It's a lot of gold. If money has suddenly no value in your country, you can buy a lot with 31 grams. So what they actually recommend is small units that will